Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome to another Planet FPL clash of the correspondents. And I'm in a mood after my trip to Manchester. So I thought I'd speak to my other mate who supports the other team in Manchester and see how he feels ahead of his weekend game against Brighton. Let me introduce you first to Jonny Pringle, our Manchester City correspondent. How are you, Johnny?
Good, thank you, James. Thanks for having me on again.
You're very welcome, mate. Good to see you again, mate. And Sam Murray, our Brighton and Hove Albion correspondent in. How are you, Sam?
I'm very good, thank you, James. Thanks for having me back on the pod.
Good man. Thank you, Sam. Johnny, we just get it out of the way, mate. Did your manager just completely overthink that again at the weekend?
Yes, basically. I agreed with what you said on the podcast. I tweeted it straight away as soon as the game kicked off. And when the lineup came out, I was very happy with it. But then very quickly realised that he was lining us up in a 3-4-3 with like Foden almost left wing back, Cancelo right wing back. Yeah, it just felt needless, avoidable. We've been playing so well, especially after the international break. Liverpool are obviously the most vulnerable they've been in years. I think most people, including myself, thought that if we just went and played our usual game now, we would have beat them. If that didn't turn out to be the case, then fair enough. But to change the system and try and sort of tinker, yeah, it just felt like overthinking it again. Like I said, it just felt avoidable the whole way through the game. And then as the game state changed, like I said, the feeling that I got was just that everything was just so avoidable. And yeah, it was a very frustrating day.
Why do you think he did it? Reflecting on it like 4 days later.
I don't know, because it felt like this was arguably the most scared he's been of Liverpool, when it was probably the least scared to be of Liverpool, and inadvertently allowed more and more counter-attacks and let Liverpool get 3-on-3. So I don't really know why he did it. Maybe something to do with the fact that he thought they would line up 4-4-2, which is different to what he did in recent years. But yeah, it just affected our whole play. Them usual triangles we get going out wide, we never got going. Foden never got at Milner. Cancelo was on his own. De Bruyne never got any combinations going, and yeah, it just felt like a total mess.
Do you think if you'd have played back four, kind of 4-3-3, similar to how you normally play, you'd have gone there and won?
I think it's too simplistic to say would have just gone there and won, but I feel like we would have done more than what we did on Sunday. Like I said, when the team came out, you looked at Foden versus Milner, but Phil just can't do it on his own. He needs combinations down there. He needs Cancelo with him down the left-hand side. He needs Bernardo over there. De Bruyne needs the combinations with Bernardo over there. And there was just nothing that got going.
Okay. Sam, what have we made of Roberto De Zerbi's start, mate? I see you're busting XG stats again, mate.
Back to the usual. Yeah, it's promising. Definitely, there's definitely promising signs. You can see what he's trying to do. Lots of possession, creating chances, and I think the Liverpool game to start off with was wide open. We weren't great defensively, but we looked so good going forward, and I think we created 6 big chances that game. And I thought it was a sign of things to come. We were going to see some goals, and maybe it will be in the long run once he gets the players he wants in, and once the players understand what he's trying to do. Maybe that was a glimpse of what's to come with his system. But in the last 3 games, I think it's been 54 shots and 0 goals. So the classic.
I don't mean to laugh, Sam, but I almost can't help it because I feel like we've been here before with you. It's like we've come full circle, mate.
Exactly. We had a 6-week spell at the beginning of the season. We all got our hopes up, and now it's just back to usual. Yeah, underperformance from the attackers XG wise. I had a look before. I think Welbeck for the season's on 3.5 XG ish, and March is on 2.7. Neither of them have got a goal yet. So yeah, it's too early to criticise De Zerbi, I think, and a few of the fans are getting a bit unsure already, which is way too soon, because these goal scoring problems we've had before, especially against the bottom teams. The exact issues we had for the majority of Potter's time. Not every game he had was a success, Potter, and it was largely patchy form. So it's not too different to what we've seen.
But it's not like you haven't created chances in there.
Yeah.
the free game. I mean, 4.53 is the XG I saw from XG Philosophy over these last 3 games, of which you haven't scored in. You've come across 2 goalkeepers, certainly in the last 2 games, particularly David Raya, actually, in the Brentford game. Just had a worldie, mate. Just one of them things, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe on a one-off you can say it's one of them things, and maybe we'll turn it around a bit. But I think it's because we have seen this so often over the last 3 or 4 seasons. It's a bit frustrating, and straight away the first thing people are doing is going back to we need a striker, which we probably do. To be fair, it was always a risk going into the season. I think with only Welbeck and Undav, and I remember we said in pre-season we'd be relying on Welbeck to stay fit and stay in form. Right now, he's not really in form, and Undav isn't getting a chance, and we're sticking with Welbeck. So there's not much leeway to change it then until the window. But
when you were
we're creating
flying,
plenty.
I mean, when you were flying and you were fourth, obviously when Potter left his job, you were scoring loads of goals, and it didn't need Danny Welbeck to be scoring. Then you had Trossard chipping in, Gross tripping in, McAllister chipping in. So I mean, I wouldn't. Danny Welbeck's not someone who's going to get you 20 goals a season. I think we all know that. But the work he does to bring other people into play feels quite important to me.
Yeah, and I think he did start the season well. He wasn't getting the goals, but he's getting assists, and we always played better when he was in the team. We took him out for 1 game against Fulham, and it fell apart, and it wasn't very good. But I think we are creating the chances, and we've only had a few goal scorers, even though they are chipping in. I think we've only had, I can only think of 3 or 4 goal scorers so far this season. So I mean, I was surprised Trossard plays so wide against Forest. I think he's made a point, De Zerbi, that he wants Trossard closer to the goal. He wants him scoring, and he just didn't seem in it as much as he was a few weeks ago. So maybe we'll see some changes, but hopefully the goals come soon.
We'll come back to Trossard particularly, because I'm sure a lot of FPL managers will want to know your opinion on him. Jonny, where do you see the title race currently? Who do you think is in competition with you?
Liverpool and Arsenal.
Do you still include Liverpool?
Oh yeah, definitely. I never ruled them out.
Yeah, so would I, mate.
Because we were about 14 points clear of them last year, and they had 2 games in hand. Liverpool are just so capable of putting together a 10-game winning streak and just dragging themselves back into it, no matter how many points they are behind. So yeah, everyone was getting giddy about how bad Liverpool looked and how many injuries they had, blah, blah, blah. But they had a sort of similar situation last season, like I said, when people were questioning them, and then all of a sudden they just turned it around. It's the reason why we always get so far in the Champions League. We just seem to sort of put it together in the second half of the season. So yeah, so not ruling them out. And Arsenal, they've just obviously started so well. And I think if they're still in with a shout in like February, March, I can just see them throwing the Europa League and just putting first 11 out every week. I can still see them being there at the end. The question is obviously just how they'll be able to manage if they get injuries or stuff like that. I think the way I was thinking of it is that I think Arsenal are very capable of putting together like an 80 to 90 point season. It's just whether City and Liverpool go on to get that 95, 100 points that have been putting together recently.
Yeah, I mean, for Liverpool, because they've started behind, it needs you to kind of probably drop below, at least kind of below sort of low 90s, I think. Yeah. Maybe 90 might be achievable for Liverpool. Much more than that, I don't think. He's interested in looking at Liverpool's fixtures. They go to you, Sam, in game week 20. But other than going to Tottenham in game week 15, which they're obviously very, very capable of winning anyway, you probably would expect them to win all the rest going up to then. And Jonny, you come in to a really difficult period in sort of January, early February, don't you? We've got suspicions that the Arsenal game might get rearranged around that period. And you've also got Chelsea away in 19, United away in 20, and Tottenham away in 22. That's probably going to be definitive, isn't it?
Yeah, I tweeted that yesterday. Yeah, Chelsea, United, Spurs away, and then Arsenal's apparently getting dropped in the middle of there. Yeah, that would be a definitive period. If you could come out of that top or within reach, then yeah, you'd be pretty confident of a good finish to the season. But yeah,
are you worried about Arsenal?
Yeah, slightly. I think they've started so well. I think the worry that I've got is like almost like when Leicester won the league, is that Leicester won the league because they didn't have to bother about Europe or any of the cup competitions. They just played their best 11 once a week. Arsenal, like I say, if they're still in contention, they could just do that. They could just throw the Europa League and just play their best 11 once a week. And I don't see any reason why they can't just take it one game at a time. I still think City will win it. But yeah, like I wouldn't say like I'm totally like not worried about Arsenal. They've won 9 out of 10.
Yeah, that's very fair. They've got a real tough run, 15 to 21, and I think if they come out of that and you come into that difficult period and they're at similar position to you points wise, then they're absolutely in it, to be totally honest. How do you see it, Sam, as a neutral?
Yeah, I always find it difficult to look past City, but as a neutral, it's quite interesting to have Arsenal up there now.
It's not, mate.
Well, I think, like you said, there's some big games coming up. Definitely, if Arsenal can get through to February and March and they're still up there, then you've got to be considering them for the title. But I still think it's City's.
What's your expectations now, Sam, on Brighton?
I think similar to what I said in pre-season, mid-table-ish. You're looking at the bottom of mid-table, like the bottom of the top half. I mean, so 10th and 9th would be good. The beginning of the season feels a bit of a false position, and with City and Chelsea next, it's only going to get a little bit worse, I think. But expectations aren't too high here anyway. It was nice after the Leicester game coming out of the stadium, and we really thought we were going to have a good go at this and push towards Europe. But yeah, it depends. I think we're still looking towards mid-table, which would be good.
I think you're still capable of more, mate. I really do. I still think. I think it probably needs one of the big six to have a real dip, and obviously Newcastle are playing really well at the moment. Their numbers are great, but I think you're capable of being not far behind that, mate. I think you'd undersell yourself a little bit. I really do.
No, I do agree, and if you asked me this a few weeks ago, I probably would have been a bit more positive. But it can change so quickly. We've only got 4 more games now till the transfer till World Cup, and then you're looking at the transfer window, and De Zerbi will have his chance to bring in some players that he'd want around the squad, and get a bit more depth. So yeah, we've still got every chance of pushing towards. But yeah, we probably need some others to drop off.
You mentioned obviously Chelsea's after City, and that's obviously at home. What sort of reception will your former manager get, do you think?
I don't think. I'm not sure what I'll do, but I don't think it'll be a good reception.
You're not going to be booing your head off, Sam,
I'm not going to be booing. I'm not. I can't bring myself to do it after the 2 years he had here. I can't. I don't think. But the way in which he left, the time of the season, and also, it was just after the transfer window. He spent the transfer window saying he's happy with his squad and he's glad no one's left. And then he leaves himself and takes everyone with him. So I don't think it'll be a kind reception, but I'm looking forward to it. Should be interesting. Hopefully, De Zerbi's first win comes against Graham Potter's Chelsea.
Are you heading up to the Etihad on Saturday?
No, I won't be there.
Is that because you're sick of seeing your team going there and not scoring?
A little bit, yeah. Going to Wolves and Arsenal after, so can't justify City away.
Looking at the historical results since obviously you got promoted at the Etihad, lost 3-1, lost 4-0, lost 1-0, lost 3-0. These are normally to nils.
Yeah.
Is there a reason
Excellent.
for that, do you think?
Well, it's just City at home, isn't it? They're a different animal, and this game this weekend could be. Well, De Zerbi's come out and said he wants to go there and play our own game and not change it at all because we're playing against City, and I think that's sort of what we expect with him. But it's a bit scary to go there and to try and play this positive possession football at the Etihad. So maybe we'll see a goal, but probably concede 5.
Who you captain at the weekend, Sam, in FPL?
It's going to be Haaland, and it's painful. I don't think I can't really remember too many times where I've captained a player against Brighton, but I think it's got to be Haaland.
Jonny, any debate for you on that?
Nah, not after where Salah sort of played last night. I think it's definitely Haaland for me.
He's got Forest away though.
After seeing Forest the other day, it was more tempting because, I thought they were so.
They'll give
bad.
up chances, won't they?
Yeah, definitely. But Salah didn't do too much to impress against West Ham, so I don't want to be too risky.
Would you go on, Johnny?
What it feels like at the moment is like last night watching Salah, it was like he was playing wide. Then when he came through the middle, Liverpool still didn't look totally back to the former selves. Whereas with Haaland, he's just getting so many chances every game. City before Sunday were just absolutely flying. Just guaranteed numerous shots in the box per game, big chances. He's a guarantee, isn't he?
So you wouldn't feel different because I haven't seen any of the game yet from Liverpool's game last night. But obviously, if Núñez is ruled out, that might mean Salah goes back through the middle. Would that change your thinking at all?
Yeah, maybe. But still, I think I've just got that bias. I tweeted it early in the season. I can't watch City and not captain Haaland.
He's at it just forever for you now, basically.
And have because obviously everyone says they don't want what they do in FPL to affect their enjoyment of watching their own team. But I don't want to watch City and every time Haaland scores thinking, fuck, he's just cost me loads of points there.
No, I can get that completely. These 4 fixtures, arguably on paper, this is the toughest one. The first one at home to Brighton, Johnny. Then it's Leicester away, Fulham at home, and Brentford at home. Would you have any doubts about, I think the big 3, if we can call them that, De Bruyne, Haaland, and Cancelo? Would you have any doubts about them starting these 4 games? Is there anywhere where you can see one of these big hitters getting left out with Champions League qualification done?
Champions League qualification is done, but finishing top of the group isn't. We need a point at Dortmund. It depends how much sway he puts on that, but I think they'll probably play all 4. Pep's become a lot easier to predict. And I think
so too. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there are worse serial offenders now amongst the big 6 potentially in terms of selection. I can't see Haaland particularly not starting these 4 league games coming up.
No, Haaland. I mean, the conversation me and you had at the start of the season, we were lining up like that Forest at home game, weren't we? Yeah. For him to maybe be rested, but he's obviously just proved
and then Villa away was the other one, wasn't it? Villa away.
And he's obviously just proved to be an absolute animal. The only game that he was rested in was Copenhagen last week. The guy's just been an absolute machine. And then when he can be rested, he's rested. But he just never even looks tired. The guy's just such an athlete.
Has he been even better than you thought he would be?
Yeah. And the debate when we signed him was, would Kane have been more effective? Would Kane have suited City more because of the whole false 9 dropping in stuff? But it was dead simplistic, wasn't it, last season? People said, all City need is just a man in the box. And you've basically got the best striker at that in the world. He scores so many tap-ins, but tap-ins that just no one else would get to. The size of his limbs and how high he can jump and how fast he is to get ahead of defenders. And what I didn't realise was just how sharp he is in his movement. How clever he is in the box. And it feels like, actually, yes, Kane might have been the better fit in a false 9, but Haaland is perfect for this role. He just gets on the end of absolutely everything. And yeah, he's been so much better than I thought he was going to be. I knew he would score goals. I didn't think he would score this many at this point. Some of the records he's knocked over are ridiculous.
How many do you think he'll get league goals if he stayed fit all season?
He's got 15, hasn't he, so far in 9. He'll score over 40 if he stays fit.
It's madness, isn't it?
It was 250 to 1 before the start of the season for him to score over 40.
No.
Yeah, I know a few City fans that have money on that.
Oh, I can only see an injury stopping that, I think, at the moment. Do you think there is a way to stop him? Have you seen something that's weakness?
Stop the service to him. A bit like Liverpool did, really. Although saying that, he still got chances, didn't he?
Yeah. It's a good job you got shit creative players, Johnny. Gives everyone else a chance there, mate.
But no, I mean, this is the thing. I wouldn't really say, like, obviously, he didn't score against Liverpool, but he had that header, he had the chance. No one's really, like, shut him down yet. I don't know. Like, it's sort of what we said at the start of the season is like, you have to just play a really deep block and just allow him to get no space at all. But then you just allow City to just really dominate the game. And we're just going to put so many chances in the box that he's going to get in the end eventually. So, yeah, I don't know the answer to the question, to be honest, but I'm enjoying it.
But your best bet is probably to have two giants like two Van Dijks and defend the penalty box and hope you deal with it when it comes in.
Yeah.
That's it. But his movement is so good. He takes little backward steps to people think they've got him. And as soon as you've taken your eyes off him, he's gone. He's in front or he's behind. I did a video last week on the goals that you've scored, which he hasn't scored. Yeah. Half the goals that you score and he doesn't score, he ends up picking the ball out of the net. Because it's ridiculous to watch.
Yeah, and some of the ones that just fall to him and you think, how the fuck is he there? Like, how does he know it's going to be there? And it's a cliche as well, isn't it? Whereas, whenever people sign dangerous players, we say, oh, he attracts players towards him. He buys space for others, but he genuinely does. The amount of goals that you score where he's got so many defenders around him. And I feel what it's done is it's allowed the other attacking players to just relax a little bit more. The burden isn't on the other attacking players to just score as many goals. So they feel like they're playing better football. And arguably scoring more goals as a result of it, certainly the likes of Foden.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of us have reflected back on the Guardiola interview on the pitch after Aguero's last game. The crying, we can't possibly replace him. I think you found the right guy, mate. Who's the other two best City FPL assets then, John?
Cancelo and Foden. I think that's
straightforward for you.
Yeah, it's become a consensus now. I did a little tweet on Game Week 8 wildcards about De Bruyne. The choice was De Bruyne or Kane, wasn't it? And De Bruyne, he's just always more of a creative and a goal scorer, isn't he? And I think, to be fair to people who selected him, Foden, before the international break, and I did a little thread on this, wasn't getting as many shots in the box, touches in the box as he usually does. But since the international break, I think Pep's just tweaked something. And Foden is a lot more involved now, and he looks so dangerous. Like I say, chuck Cancelo in there as well, who, after a few doubts on him earlier in the season, has stepped it up again recently. I think it's quite obvious who the three best to pick from City is now.
So you would be tempted to go with the three attacking players and do none defensively? Not
really, not now. Again, with De Bruyne, Kane's got good fixtures and he's in good goal-scoring form. Salah's got good fixtures. Again, more greedy than De Bruyne. Yeah, I think just keep it simple. Get them free.
So if I said to you, Johnny, I haven't decided what I'm doing yet, but I'm thinking of buying Foden for Zaha this week, what are you going to say to me?
I'm thinking the same.
If I said, Sam, about selling Trossard for Foden, what would you say?
Yeah, I think you should.
What should Trossard owners do you think, Sam? It's obviously a difficult couple.
Yeah, I think, well, it would be typical Trossard, I think, to go and get a goal at the Etihad on
definitely if Serge sells him.
It? yeah, Serge, he's jinxed him again.
But, mate.
I think hopefully we see him a bit more central. Like I said, De Zerbi has said he wants him to get the goals. He is the main man. But the fixtures, there's not long to go till the World Cup, and I think you want to be attacking the fixtures a bit. And everyone's got a bit of money in the bank, I think, to move up to Foden, a Saka, or even a Zaha. We know he's a lot worse than Trossard, but he's got the fixtures, Zaha. So
no motorway dig there, Sam. We all saw that.
But yeah, I think if you can move him on, then yeah, I would.
Okay. What if you don't have the money? Would you consider benching him for, say, Andreas Pereira's got Leeds away this week? Would you consider just starting Pereira and coming back to Trossard and benching him?
Yeah, it wouldn't be crazy, but I think there's been a few times over the last few years where people have got Trossard in, held him a bit, and just been stuck with him really. So it wouldn't. Yeah, if you've got more important transfers to make, then yeah, it's not the end of the world really. But I think there's quite a few options around that price. So probably time to look somewhere else.
is there a case to say the fixtures don't matter so much? Wasn't part of the deal, but going back to April, that everyone got him in. You had this double 25 that was good. Then you had this good run of fixtures and you really underperformed. Then everyone sold him who still had, and it was the same with Morpay, although there was more reason to sell. Then Trossard scored at Arsenal. He's got the winner at Tottenham. And also, what did he do at Anfield a few weeks ago, mate?
It's a good point. Keep him, captain him. It's just difficult after watching us against Forest at home and Brentford away as well. He wasn't very good. But these are the type of games like we're not gonna. I don't think we're gonna park the bus against Chelsea as well. It's gonna be a good atmosphere, and I'm sure Trossard's the main man. So if we're gonna get any goals, he'll be involved. He'll be up there. But these are the games that he is good at. He's good in. So it's not too bad if you want to keep him. If you've got the money and the transfers to make, then there are definitely better options now, I think.
Have you got him?
I do. I bought him in last week because I had the transfers and I needed an extra player, and Maddison decided to get a stupid yellow card in the last second. So I got him in last week, but I always thought I'd be moving him on again. So I've got a few transfers, and I think Saka or Foden, probably one of those two.
That's nicely lined up for Jonny. Which one? I expect bias here, but because Saka's the other player I'm considering as well. What would your take on that be, Jonny?
I think get both. I think it's my plan to get both over the next 2 game weeks. Which one you pick first? I don't know. It's was it Brighton at home and Southampton away? I don't know.
So you're Leicester away next week. Obviously, Arsenal got Southampton away this week, then Forest at home, then Arsenal go to Chelsea.
Yeah. I think literally flip a coin. But yeah, I'll probably just be getting fill-in because I'll be at the game. I think it's... I don't know. I haven't looked at the stats. I imagine Foden's are probably better over the last few games. Yeah, it really is a tight one because Saka really has looked like he's the one to get the goals recently over Jesus.
Would you consider getting both, Jonny, if it included a -4 that was part of selling Mo Salah?
Nah, not this week.
Yeah, see, that's my problem. So I need to make a decision between the two, basically, I think.
I sometimes ask myself before making transfers, would an idiot make this transfer and taking Salah out against Spurs?
Well, as you know, here on Planet FPL, we're not immune to acting like idiots. But it makes me think, if I go Foden, I probably just have to ride out Saka against Forest, and I'm not going there. I think he's probably the most likely for me. Because if I go in for Forest and then he misses, and then I'm looking at him away to Chelsea, doesn't feel quite so clever. So I feel like if I go Saka, it's got to be now.
Who have you got? Have you got Bowen?
Yeah, he's got Bournemouth at home this week.
Yeah, I know. So that's the. So you're saying. So I've got Salah, Bowen, and Zaha like you. And I think what my plan was going to be is get one of them this week, and then when Bowen goes to United,
hop on, hop off. Yeah.
Hop on. Well, maybe not necessarily bring Bowen back. Maybe switch to Skamaka. That's going off on a total tangent now.
Okay, yeah, no, that's an interesting. Skamaka, 15 in for Mitrovic is something I'm considering. Yeah, we've gone well off Man City and Brighton here, haven't we? If you're wild carding this week, Sam, any Brighton in, do you think? So will be a lot of wild carders this week. The state of Sam's face for the benefit of the podcast listeners was a definitive no.
No, I don't think so. I don't know what fixtures for the players that people were bringing in a wild card will be in 15 and 16 when we got a few all right games. So a defender to sit on the bench, but I haven't really looked into it. And no, I probably wouldn't have any Brighton players.
I think that's it, isn't it? Defender to sit on the bench for Wolves away, Villa at home if you need it in 15, 16. You don't go Trossard if you're on wildcard, I don't think now, do you? You can't do with City away, surely. No. Okay. Jonny, any Brighton in your squad at the moment?
No. Trossard was a consideration this week, but I went for the -4 Salah route. Both flopped, didn't they? If I was playing wildcard, I probably wouldn't be interested just with the fixtures until the World Cup.
What would you say, Jonny, to people who don't have Cancelo, perhaps sitting there with, say, Foden and Haaland at the moment, and can't get to Cancelo without a hit, for example? what would you say in terms of these enabling City defenders, the Akanjis, Akis? Where do you sit on them at the moment in terms of your thought process? A regular question I keep getting for Sky managers as well. What do you do with these 8 million? They're 8 million in Sky Fantasy. What to do with these guys? Are they worth getting in?
Yeah, it's difficult because they've had a run of games now where Akanji, Ake, and Diaz have played regularly, but now Laporte is back. I think Pep said Stones was maybe like a week away last week, so assuming he's back soon, I think it's just the usual sort of answer I give in that I just don't know who's going to play. I don't know who's going to play now. I imagine that he's going to want to try and give Laporte a run of games before the World Cup. So I can see him coming in. He's given a lot of praise to Akanji.
I think he's done really well.
Yeah, he has. I'd say maybe he's the one, especially while Walker's out injured. He's the one that can play right back. So I think he'd probably be on the top of the list.
But obviously, once Stones is back, he can play there. And obviously, you can go the other way and just put Cancelo out there and someone else at left back, right? Cancelo obviously played at the right against Liverpool. I know that was a one-off because of the system and stuff. And, I thought he'd play on that side anyway to avoid Salah. And then neither of them played on the other side of the pitch anyway. Do you expect Cancelo back on the left for these upcoming games then?
Yeah, even though it was a one-off, I think it's become a bit of a trend in that Cancelo has struggled on the right in the games he's played this season. That run he had in the lockdown season where he sort of came into his own as an FPL asset was on the right-hand side. But I think he's playing on the left-hand side so much now. I think he definitely does look better there. Every time he goes over to the right-hand side, we particularly struggle for build-up down the left-hand side. And he just seems to struggle a bit more there now, which is weird. So, yeah, I would expect him to go back over to the left-hand side, which, like I say, just opens up Akanji.
Sam, I'm going to guess you're a Cancelo owner as well, are you?
Yeah, I got Cancelo and Haaland, and then it'll be probably Foden sometime soon. Seems almost too good to be true to have those three for the fixtures they got coming up, but yeah, you don't need to be too clever. I think those three are the main ones.
Yeah, Foden versus Saka this week is going to go down to the wire in terms of decision. I think I really want Phil Foden in. I think part of the structure I've been moving about for a while, Johnny, has been part of getting Foden in. And I'm annoyed at myself because I said well before you played United and stuff, I can see a real consistent run. I think that's always been the problem with him, isn't it? Will he play? Won't he play? Whenever it feels like the fixture's good, he comes out. I don't see an excuse for him not to be in this team.
No, not anymore. I said I was kicking myself as well. I went Bowen on wildcard 8 and it did enter my head like, do I go Foden? Because he played every game in the season. But like I said, maybe this is a case of obviously when you watch a team week in, week out, you sort of see obviously the nitty gritty, the ins and outs, everything. And Foden didn't look that good in the first few games of the season before the international break. But you're right in that it was just because you knew that he was going to play that next run of fixtures. It was worth a punt, and it's turned out obviously to be right. I think after that United game, everyone was looking at 13 thinking, I've got to get Foden in from them.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't argue that at all. Okay, gents, I think we'll leave it there. I think that's covered most of it. Sam, go on quickly. Robert Sanchez, would he, if Pete was still sitting there, is that a dive off or just leave it?
Yeah, it's a goalkeeper transfer. If you can make it, then probably get to someone else. But yeah, it's not too bad.
Boo next week if you want to, Sam, and don't if you don't want to, mate. That's entirely up to yourselves. Right, let's do predictions before we let you go, guys. Thanks for that. Johnny, correct score prediction for Saturday, mate.
I think Brighton will score. We haven't been as tight this season as we have been in recent years.
I bet Sam's not going to predict them to score.
But I think City's record after losing games, I don't know it exactly, but I think it'd be very good. So I think I'm going to go for 4-1.
God. Sam?
Yeah, we're playing against an angry Manchester City. It's not great. Pep will probably do his usual thing before the game where he bigs us up and says how good we are and then beats us 3-1. We'll get a goal.
He's going to back
I'm
a
being
goal
positive.
as well. I have to say, Johnny, it's very unusual for a correspondent to come on here and have the cojones to say, yeah, right, fancy this, because Brighton are not whipping boys or anything, mate. Do you think, is that partly because of the fact you've had this week off as well, do you think?
Yeah. And the fact we just lost last week. Like I said, after that Madrid game last year, the semi-final, we played Newcastle at home and slapped them 5-0. And it was a real, like, sort of just proper ruthless performance, right? Just let's get back to it. I don't know whether you'll see something like that. I hope we'll see something like that this week. But yeah, but it's just we were playing so well before the Liverpool game. I'm hoping we can just get back to that form. And if we do, we can obviously pop a few past anyone.
Just quickly, Sam, do you think you play a back 3 or back 4?
We probably need a back 10 or so, but hope back 3.
You won't though, will you? You'll be principled.
We'll go.
Johnny's right to say there could be
we'll be brave.
Exactly. There could be a hole in this because you will give teams an opportunity. Whereas I think you had become defensively really solid under Graham Potter. It now looks like you're going to be brave. And you know my feelings on it. Like any time you can give someone some serious trouble. But I think if you give City a real chance, then there's too much firepower there. I just think the 2-0 though, I'll go. I think you when's the Dortmund game, John? Is it Tuesday or Wednesday? Is it Tuesday?
Yeah, it's Tuesday. I'm going.
Oh, nice. Have you been out there before?
Yeah, I went when we played them in 2012.
What a place that is.
Yeah, I can't remember about anything of the game. It was steaming.
Dortmund is phenomenal. I reckon Sam's been out there as well. He's definitely not seen Brighton there, but I reckon Sam's been as well.
Yeah.
No,
have you not?
One of the only ones I haven't done. Yeah.
Oh, Sam was in Germany last week. We've done nine of the Bundesliga stadiums now, haven't you?
Yeah, I've done a few of them. Yeah, Cologne, Frankfurt, into
get to
Schalke,
Dortmund. It's only like another hour and a half on the train from
also
Cologne.
Close, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got to
That's
do
next
Dortmund.
on the list.
Phenomenal, mate. Good luck in the Champions League, Johnny. Maybe see you down the line in it, but hoping not actually. Not because I don't hope we get through, but just because I think revenge would definitely be on. And I can't see anybody wants to play your team at the moment, despite obviously last week's result at Anfield. Johnny, where can everyone follow you on the bird at, mate?
At FPL Pringle.
And I haven't asked Johnny what he'd do ahead of the unlimited transfer period because he will be rejoining us on Clash of the Correspondents during that period as well. Sam, where can everyone follow you on the bird app?
I am at FPL Seagull.
Good man. I don't think you're joining us over that period, Sam, but you've got Arsenal Liverpool as your first 2 home games, so I don't think anyone's that bothered anyway, mate.
Oh, really?
But wish you luck this weekend. Obviously a tough one for you, mate. Next week's Clash of Correspondents is Brentford versus Wolves with Tom Med and Bradley Parker. It is scheduled for Thursday, but Wolves still haven't got a manager, so we might bring it forward earlier to Tuesday, possibly, but it's still scheduled for Thursday. Just leaves me to say thanks again to Johnny and to Sam. Suj will be back for the Gameweek 12 review with myself tomorrow. Cue music, please, man child.